Hey, how are you? I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Fantasy Six Pack to talk about Sunday Night Football. The Rams of Los Angeles come to Detroit to take on the Lions at Ford Field on Sunday Night Football, which is going to be ridiculously fun. It's going to be amped up. The city, the state, and several other states and cities and people are really behind the Detroit Lions this year. And as a fan, that's fantastic. But in a way, as a fan, on the flip side, it's kind of freaking me out, right? I know I'm trying to be objective across the board when it comes to broadcasts and content, and for the most part I have been, right? I'm not going to throw that out now for the sake of this video, but it's going to be fun. It's going to freak me out, and I hesitate to give you a final score, right? And I will, right? I'm going to swallow the bullet on, or bite the bullet on that one and give you a final score, but I don't normally do that when it comes to Detroit, the Lions at least. I don't bet on them. I don't do any spreads, player props, nothing when it comes to the Lions, because I'm a superstitious freak, and it bums me out, right? It freaks me out. But before I get into the player pricing, some player projections, I got some anytime touchdown bets. Again, I'm going to throw my well-being aside for the sake of all of you that watch the videos and read my content. So for that, I say thank you. Before I do that, make sure you go to Fantasy Six Pack, right? The Discord is where you want to be. It's hopping. Week one, everything across the board is free. Bottom of the barrel is out. You can check that out. That's free. This video was free. Thursday Night Football's video was free. And if you bug Joe, Mr. Bond, long enough, or however long enough and hard enough, maybe he'll, I'll make it free. I'll make a few things free week 2, and then I'll make a few free week 3, and we'll see what we get. The Discord is fantastic. The rankings, the projections. We have IDP cheat sheets. We have baseball cheat sheets still going on. Hockey. I mean, it's a DFS in sports betting bonanza on top of it's already a seasonal and dynasty website. Just a little bit of spice with the DFS and the betting. Now let's talk about this game. As I said, the Rams are in Detroit. Kickoff is at 8:20 at Ford Field. Right now the over/under is at about 52 points. And when you look at the entire slate for football, I'm talking about the 1 p.m. games. By the time you watch this, it's going to be after 1, I'm going to assume. And to be fair, that is the largest and the highest over/under, and it's not really close. I guess Arizona at Buffalo sits at 47, but all of them around, actually Jacksonville, Miami's 49. I've talked too much about that. But when we look at the over/under, 52 points right now, Detroit is -3.5, or you can get the Rams +3.5. However you decide to slice it. I want to say 2 quick things before I get into player projections and their price tags. When you look at, when I was doing my notes, I'm looking at, maybe it's just me as, being here and being a lifelong Lions guy, and I hate to, it makes me cringe when I say that. I don't even know how you feel. Just, Chris, quit talking about that. I'm excited. But when you look at, maybe there are other teams in the league I'm sure there are, but when you look at the Lions, their depth chart, it's perfect for a sports betting or a DFS format, right? When you look at it, they got 2 really good running backs, and that's it. There's no need for any sneakiness, right? I was, again, Boston Scott games, things along those lines. Boston Scott was a Ram, if I'm not mistaken. Don't think he made the roster, but there's always those a last-second tight end or a sneaky wide receiver that you never know can catch a touchdown and throw your line off and just completely screw it up. The Lions are solid, and that's it. There's no guesswork. It's Goff, it's Amon-Ra, it's Gibbs, it's David Montgomery, it's Laporta, and that is it. And then you can just move a couple pieces around. But again, this is week 1. Not much of a surprise, not really going to be shocking as far as I'm concerned. But the Rams, they're a formidable team. This game is going to be fantastic. Let's start with Matthew Stafford. Rams are in Detroit. Right now, Detroit 30th overall against opposing quarterbacks, but this isn't just any random quarterback. I hate to say, I'm over this as well. I know you're probably going again with this Stafford in Detroit and everything. Kelly Stafford, they're great people. She put out an open letter to Detroit for her mental health, and I mean she's a nice woman, but it's a little bit too, look at me, this is me, but let your husband play and come home, and all will be well. Stafford 13-5 on FanDuel. FanDuel, 8-8 on DK, $28 on Yahoo. This guy, this is probably maybe this year, and it probably his last hurrah in a way. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I look like a stupid ass, but his contract, I'm not too sure how that fits. But I believe he's a little bit younger than me, and I'm pushing 40. I am 40. So to me, Stafford could be his last hurrah, and that's fantastic because he's won a Super Bowl. And here we go. 5 minutes in, and this video is going to be 20 minutes because I can't shut my mouth. Stafford, 24 to 25 completions, 280 yards, and I think he throws for at least minimum one touchdown, could be two. You're going to be shocked at the final score. I have it way under 52. So if you watch someone else's broadcast, have at it, and they're saying this is going to be 35 to 30. I don't think that's the path we go down for Sunday Night Football. That's just me. When you look at Jared Goff, Rams right now 28th overall against opposing quarterbacks, 14 grand on FanDuel, 9 grand on DK, $28 on Yahoo, 24 to 25 completions, around 260 yards, and a pair of touchdown passes. One will be to a running back, and more than likely, because there's no surprises or shocks on this depth chart of the Lions, one will be to Amon-Ra St. Brown. When we look at the running backs in this game, it's Kyren Williams, it's the rookie coming back to the state of Michigan and the city of Detroit, having played for the University of Michigan, having won a national championship with the University of Michigan. He's going to be loved and cheered. I know, us Michiganders or Detroit people we're very loyal to a certain extent, or I should say we're loyal to a fault in a way. But you got Kyren, you got Blake Williams, you got Gibbs, you got Demont. And that's about it. You could toss in Ronnie Rivers. I don't think he sees action. He's probably on the practice squad. Or the rookie for the Lions, Vaki. He's an offensive and defensive kind of guy. But he looked good in the preseason, catching passes. But we know that position is filled in Detroit. Let's start with Kyren really quick. Lions right now, or just right now, the season just started. Lions on paper, as of right now, they're first overall against opposing running backs. 12 grand on FanDuel, 8 grand on DK, 14-15 carries, 65 yards. I think Kyren catches 2 to 3 passes for another 20 yards. Chris, what's Blake Corum going to do? I'm just as excited to tell you. Corum, 8 grand on FanDuel, 4-8 on DK. Makes for a great, as a rookie, could, just for the heck of it, for the fun of it, MVP captain spot. What if he finds the end zone twice or once on a whim? Who knows? Anything is possible. Blake Corum, 6 to 7 carries, around 30 yards. Looking at a reception or two for 10 yards. Again, this is week 1, game 1 for the Rams and Detroit. So it's going to be not scripted, let's say, maybe the first 10 plays or however you guys think that goes, but there's going to be no shock and awe week 1, and that goes across the board with all the teams. I said it Thursday night. What we see is what we're going to get, at least for the foreseeable future, as all these teams, right, work out depth charts, and they want to go from there and showcase, their new free agent acquisitions, or they re-signed a guy like Amon-Ra, something like that. So to me, the mystery is kind of taken out, sapped or zapped out of it, which is fantastic for a DFS purposes. When you look at Jamar Gibbs and David Montgomery, we know what these guys can do, or what they have done and what they're looking forward to do. They both want to be 1,000-yard rushers. Gibbs has aspirations of 1,000 yards receiving, 1,000 yards rushing. It's quite impressive what these men think they can do, and I hope it happens. Gibbs right now 11-5 on FanDuel, 8-4 on DK, looking at 12 to 13 carries, 60 yards, 3 to 4 receptions for another 30 yards. So I'm looking at around 90 all-purpose yards, and he will find the end zone. Does it matter how he finds it? To be fair, I think he finds the end zone with a pass, a reception touchdown, can chalk that up to Goff, and we'll go on. David Montgomery, be mindful, Rams, 2nd overall against opposing running backs. Demont, I should say, 9-5 on FanDuel, 6-6 on DK, 13 to 14 carries, around 60 yards, and a reception or two for another 10 yards, and he finds the end zone as well, but it's on the ground. So we got both 3 of the running backs, Kyren, Gibbs, and Demont, all 3 find the end zone. Gibbs finds it on a reception. When we look at the wide receivers, again, no guesswork. It's actually pretty standard. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 16 grand on FanDuel, 11 grand on DK, 9 to 10 targets, could be 10 to 11 by the time this thing is said and done. 7-8 receptions, 90 yards, and a touchdown. Showdown. He's going to get rolling as the season goes on. What about Jamison Williams? He has all these wild aspirations, which I think is good for any human being, let alone, a professional football player in their third season after missing the first year of his career with his knee was kind of bummed out, was getting fixed and healed and things like that. And then last year kind of sputtered because of that 4-game betting suspension. But hey, we put that behind us. As you can see, Kansas City running this almost the exact play as J-Mo did in the Lions in the NFC Championship game. Just a little nugget I wanted to add. Why tweet it? I could just tell you here. When we look at J-Mo, 9.5 on FanDuel, 5.4 on DK, 5.6 receptions, 5.6 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, around 50 yards. When you do the math, 50 divided by 3, you're looking at around 16 to 17 yards per reception. And that's going to be his thing this year. He's going to catch large gauged plays or large, yardage plays, right? He's not going to be a possession receiver. You're going to bomb the ball down the field or put the ball in his hands in the backfield and let him, run around and be quick. He's fast. I mean, that's his calling card. When we look at Khalif Raymond, nothing crazy. Puka, Cooper Kupp, what are we doing there? Why can't we roster both of them? They're both, fantastic wide receivers. Puka is younger, obviously, but Cooper Kupp is the tried and true stud, right? Of this team, Puka took a big time step forward in his rookie year. He was phenomenal as a rookie. Look what he did not too long ago in the wild card game. Puka had this is off memory, so don't dig me or in the comments here. Just call me. I think didn't he have like 180 yards? I know he had a touchdown. One was like 60 or 70 yards. So Puka, 15.5 on FanDuel, 8 to 9 targets, 6-7 receptions, around 85 yards. Cooper Kupp, again, the Detroit Lions, 30th overall against opposing wide receivers. Cooper Kupp, 10 grand on FanDuel, 9.6 on DK, 8-9 targets, 5-6 receptions, and around 70 yards. I do have Puka. Maybe gets a carry out of the backfield or some kind of reverse. Nothing crazy. 5, maybe 10 yards at the most. One thing I will say, Tutu Atwell is on this roster. He is quick, and we thought we knew, or some of us thought we knew, what kind of a role he was going to play. Hasn't really come to fruition yet. 1-2 targets, 1-2 receptions, maybe 10 yards. But Demarcus Robinson, you might say, who cares? But listen, Demarcus Robinson signed a 1-year, $5 million deal. To me, that seems, they're going to give a guy $5 million to someone like me or Beastie who's roaming around in here, or you watching the $5 million is a huge chunk of change in the sports world. Meh. But right, Demarcus Robinson is going to be part of this offense given the contract he signed. Not $1 million, it's $5 million. That seems to me, that tells us a little bit of what we're going to get from D-Rob this season. 7 grand on FanDuel, 5 on DK, 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, around 45 yards. When we look at the tight ends, again, I hate to say this because it's a Detroit Lions. They're hosting the Rams. Detroit Beastie is my flippin' for God's sakes, right? But to me, of all the tight ends that are playing tonight, it's Sam Laporta, and it's not even close. And that's not even a wild, drastic, hot take. You got Sam Laporta, Brock Wright for the Lions, who also signed a 3-year, $12 million deal. The Lions matched it from San Francisco, which means they matched a $12 million deal from San Francisco to keep him in Detroit. They want him around. They're going to use him. He's a phenomenal blocker. And every once in a while, maybe 3, if we're going to be ambitious, 4 games a season, he's going to be fantastic. He's going to catch a touchdown, 30 yards, something like that. So to me, Sam Laporta is the clear 1A, B, C, 2, 3. He's the 1 through 10 tight end on this single game slate. But when we look at the Rams here, and the Detroit's 10th overall against Rams, whatever, Colby Parkinson, They signed him too to like this massive contract, 3 years, $27.5 million, as Tyler Higbee is recovering from a torn MCL and ACL, and he's going to work his way back. Fingers crossed he makes his way onto the field this season. But for the foreseeable future, it's Colby Parkinson is going to be their starting tight end, along with Davis Allen, Hunter Long. How are they going to mix in? When you look at the Rams, their need for a tight end is very high when they have the right one, when it is Tyler Higbee. But I do believe Colby Parkinson, looking at, what do I have, 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, around 30 to 35 yards. So given his price tag, Parkinson 6.5 on FanDuel, he's 3.2 on DK. Could factor in. You need a little salary relief on DK. And we'll go from there. When you look at the DSTs, nothing crazy, 2 to 3 sacks apiece. I do have each team with an interception. The difference, and I don't think it's going to matter if you want to win a ton of dough on the single game slate tonight, there's going to be maybe an extra turnover. Will it be an interception or will it be a fumble recovery? I think that's going to be the difference in the box score when it comes to the DSTs. When we go to the kickers, a lot of we don't knows. Josh Carty is the Rams kicker. Jake Bates is the Lions kicker. He came over from the USFL, if I'm not mistaken, or he was a social media star doing all these fun and weird kicks. Again, I could be wrong, but look, it's week 1. I'm going to get up to speed and start rolling as all the players do, and I promise you're going to have the best possible information I can possibly give you. So when we look at this thing, I have the Lions to win. It was like a really small number, right? I said the over-under was 52. I wanted to say the Lions are going to win 14-10. You're like, holy smokes. These two teams have massive firepower. It's in a dome. They're going to let it all hang out. There's kind of rivalry is kind of started up because of these two teams. They're linked forever with quarterbacks and all this stuff. But to me, I think it's going to be a little bit underwhelming. The Lions will win, but I'm thinking like 17-14 something. On the high end, 20-14, something along those lines. So to me, I would take the Lions minus the 3.5 points. The final score, if I say it out loud, it doesn't really matter. You'll say, what kind of DFS guy or sports betting guy are you if you say the final score doesn't matter? Well, some cases, I call it as I see it. And the Lions will win, and you can take them to cover minus the 3.5 points. So be good, be safe. I'll see you again very soon. Let's get together and talk about Monday Night Football, shall we? Thanks so much. Lions win in a fantastically defensive, little bit of a defensive game in a way, or maybe they just, struggle moving the ball. It's week 1. I could be wrong. Maybe I'll edit that out, or you can drag me in the comments. I'll see you later. Bye.